in a more resourceful way. So, why don't we dive in? Like I said, we're going to answer a question today from a young man who is struggling between the call to build his life, right? Working, entrepreneurship, grinding, making your way as a man. They say a woman is valued for what she is, and a man is valued for what he can do. And as men, we know this is true because you just look at little boys on the playground and who rises in the ranks? The guy that can do more, the guy that can jump higher, that can run faster, right? Everybody wants him on the team. So it's important that a man can do great things, but men also want great things, nice things. And relationships are great, they're nice. Women are good to have around as well. But at age 22, what do we do? So, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to read our question. I'm going to answer the question like I normally do. And then if you want clarity on the question or anything that I responded to the question, comment here. And that way, this can become more like a conversation rather than me just talking to a dead camera, right? Should you focus on girls or goals? Because girls come and go. You should focus on goals, our guy says. Well, let's read the question. Let's dive into it. And real quick, before I read the question and dive into it, there are a few ways that you can work with me if you'd like. You can show up on these lives as I'll be doing them coming up here in the next several weeks. You can also put a comment in any of my videos. I usually search through them to find questions to answer in this regard. So all that's free. I'll be available for that. But if you want to go a little bit deeper, I just opened up my school, SKOOL/Elliott Hulse, and an experiment, right? We'll see how many of you guys actually want to do this. But every Monday, I'll live stream in school for about 6 hours. I call it office hours because I'll probably just have my phone on so that if anybody pops up, we can have a conversation. I think that might be cool. So trying to create more access and value for you guys that way. You can find the link for that down below or just go to school/Elliott Hulse. And then also one-on-one guidance calls. So you can hop on a call one-on-one with me, totally private. You're not sharing it with a bunch of people like we would in school, which is semi-private. And then obviously here, we're public, bro, right? If you'd like to do a guidance call with me, it's elliottHulse.com/guidance, or you can click a link down below. So let's jump into the question, bro. Our viewer, Elia, who I think is here, asked this. Yo, Elliott, I'm 22 years old. As a young man, I currently work a part-time job because I have an online business where I want to put my focus. So I need to be behind my desk throughout the week. I'm still trying to figure things out and I'm not making big money yet from the business. Let's say a few $100s per month. Okay. Hey, you're making money. Nice. With my current part-time job, on the weekend, I earn about $1,800 to $2,000 a month. Okay, cool. My question is, if a woman shows interest in me while I'm in this building stage of life, how do I handle that? Because a woman wants a providing man. I want to provide, but I don't want to waste too much money in relationship duties because I'm working towards my goals of financial, location, time, freedom. What advice would you give me? Great question, man. Very relevant. Appreciate you sending it in. In the first place, I have to begin is with my own experience, right? Otherwise, I'm just talking theory, right? It's abstract. What have I actually done and what has been my experience? That would be the fairest thing for me to do. Many of you guys know that I met my wife, who was my girlfriend at the time, when I was around 15 years old. So we were very young and we were in high school. And I may have been working at like Fabric Bonanza. I think that's where I worked when I met my girlfriend. I worked at Fabric Bonanza and I was, big rolls of fabric and I would cut it and sell it to people. That was my job, earning $4.15 an hour. That's what it was, 1994. And my wife was, I think she was working at Carvel. So both of us were kids. We were both working, but we were both attracted to one another. I wasn't thinking I'm going to build a life with this girl. I'm pretty sure that was probably not top of mind for her. We were doing what we deemed necessary, working, earn a little bit of money. And really at the time, earning the money for me was the opposite of what you're asking here. He says, I don't want to waste a bunch of money on relationship duties. Well, I tell you what, when I was earning my $4.15, my first paycheck, I bought her a gift, spending all my little money on her. And we enjoyed ourselves with a little bit of money that we were making as teenage sweethearts. But as time went on, and we grew up, went to college, and of course college is just like school, right? So we were full-time students and full-time relationship. On the weekends or after school or during holidays, we'd spend time together. Sometimes she had a job, sometimes she didn't, sometimes I had a job, sometimes I didn't. The point is that we were young people building our value in the world and at the same time being together. I think it might be different. You're 22 years old. And at that point, a lot of people have already started or are looking to start their career, like their long-term thing. And it's not just dudes, right? It's not just us. This whole idea of a man being the provider and the woman receiving that gift from a man. Look, like, first of all, it's ancient. That's ancient, meaning like for thousands of years. Even if you look at, like, if you ever watch like the Chosen documentary or series on TV, right? Like it's based on 2,000 years ago. It's based on when Jesus Christ was alive, and that traditional home situation is evident. The men were fishing and the women were doing home duties. The home duties were associated with creating the home, probably the most important part. The man brings home the bacon, the woman fries it. Probably not bacon. They probably didn't eat bacon. They didn't eat bacon at the time, but that's a saying. The man is outside. It's just our nature. It's our nature to be outside of the center. A woman is center focused, inside focused. And you just see it you see this. So, this whole idea of, well, socialism, communism, equaling the playing field, bringing women up to the same, economic value as a man, all that stuff is like brand new. And a woman who is dating, courting, looking to be with you probably has her own thing too. This, and that has been the case for like the past 100 years, but there seems to be like a turning. There seems to be like the zeitgeist is shifting, and in particular for Gen Z. And I think our young man, age 22, I think you're like Gen Z or Gen Alpha. Anyway, starting with Gen Z, the men have taken the lead. I'm so proud of the young men to see what's going on with young men today. Have taken the lead in desiring and building a life that's more traditional, where the man does the heavy lifting outside of the home, and the women, the Gen Z girls. Dudes, I always told you this about women. Just go on my videos, especially my videos in the early 2020s. So like 2021, 2022, when I was talking a lot more about relationships. Anyway, I always said that if the boys go first, guys, if you guys go first and you establish the lead, like you really take the reins and you demonstrate your masculine leadership ability, that the women will fall into line. Because I remember there was a lot of complaints 5 years ago. You guys, now you're 22 now, so this was like 5 years ago, and the complaint was that these girls, all they want to do is party. They have all kinds of options. Social media has ruined them, and dating is not of any value. These girls are terrible. They're unloyal, right? This was the complaint. And I was talking a lot about these problems because these were the problems that you guys were bringing to me. But you guys did something fucking amazing. You guys said, okay, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to focus in on being a provider and then add a woman to my life. And the cool thing is, the women now actually like that. It's a crazy thing. I go on and I see it even in my own home. Maybe I'll talk about that in a moment because I have daughters. My daughters want to be traditional wives. One of my daughters is an entrepreneur. She's making a ton of money, but her desire is to be a mom and a wife first and then a mother. And so the women are now, they're following your lead. They want a provider. They want to stay home. They want to raise children. I actually just saw a meme the other day. That's where I get most of my news from, Instagram memes. I saw a meme the other day that says, for the first time in, it was like 80 years, white people, white people in America are actually making more babies than for the past 80 years. And for the first time in 80 years, white people are projected to remain the majority, right? And I say, I point out white people because they are the majority, but they're also, white people have a tendency to be more susceptible to the propaganda. Right? It's just, I mean, maybe they're good followers in that way. Whatever. I'm half white. I'm not making fun of white people, but white people are waking the fuck up. They're looking at, like, all the black people and all the Puerto Ricans and all, everybody else. They're making a whole lot of babies. Muslims coming in. It's not just that Muslims are coming. The Muslims are coming. They're making a whole lot of baby. They're making a whole lot of babies. And because white people have lost their tradition, right? Like these cultures still have their traditions, right? Middle Eastern people, Muslims, they still have their tradition intact. Um, and from other countries, right? The Indians that come here, they make a lot of babies. Mexicans, they make a lot of babies. They retain their culture. And the culture is usually based in some religious, spiritual, transcendent tradition. But since the dawn of the Bolshevik Revolution and socialism and so forth, um, religion has gotten tossed out the window. Antonio Gramsci understood that if you're going to take out the West, you got to destroy the father. The father is represented by God the Father and the father in the home. You got to destroy the home and you got to destroy the church, both of which happened over the past 100 years. It's been like the 100-year reign of Satan that was basically promised in an apparition that I won't even get into. But it's like that has actually come to an end. That has come to an end, and we're watching it with Gen Z. They're like, we don't want the degeneracy that the boomers brought in and the rest of us sort of followed. You guys are drinking less. You guys are fornicating less. Of course, you have more pornography than ever. I was speaking with a young man, probably about 21 years old, and I'm like admiring Gen Z. I'm saying, man, this is great. Like the men are working, they're building, they're going back to traditional jobs, plumbers and electricians and carpenters. Like all these things are coming back. And so is tradition, traditional family values, traditional religion, right? These things are coming back, but at the same time that that's happening, and of course I live in sort of a bubble, and I have my my bias, so I'm seeing that because that's what I want to see, and I'm like, fucking go, guys. At the same time, this young man, he explains to me, dude, Elliot, it's worse than it's ever been. Also, there's more degeneracy, there's more drugs, there's more pornography, it's like the worst of the times and the best of the times, right? 1984. Here we are, 2026. So I say all this to sort of set the foundation for, number one, my experience. I'll continue in my experience, but then what I think is appropriate in your circumstance being a Gen Z dude. So I grew up in the 90s, met my girlfriend in high school, we got married. And then when we got married, an interesting thing did happen. An interesting thing did happen. When we got married, she had a master's degree. I didn't have a master's degree. She worked at a school, so she had a salary and she had benefits. And I was a personal trainer earning $15 an hour or something like that. And then she got pregnant. And when she got pregnant, we were thinking about buying a house in my neighborhood that I grew up in. And when we went to go sign the papers and we were thinking, okay, this is cool, we're going to live together. You're having a baby. We quickly realized that, like, with the mortgage payments that we would have to make, she would have to go back to work as quickly as possible. And that meant that the baby would have to go to daycare or something like that. And I didn't want that. I didn't want that. And I explained it to her. I was like, and this is, mind you, this is 2002, 2003, way before what I'm talking about that's happening in Gen Z. I happen to think that I'm sort of a pioneer in this. I was like, I remember family members and friends like, Colleen's not going to work. Colleen's not going to work. And like, I'm not making a shit ton of money. And I built, I built while she was riding my tailcoat. She was riding in my sidecar. My girl was riding in my sidecar and had the baby. And I'm building. I'm trying. I'm genuinely trying my best to be a personal trainer to make money. This is now we're talking like 2007, 2008. We may have already had like 2 or 3 babies, and it was tough. It was tough. I may have never ever shared this, but there was a time that we were eating off of food stamps. Like I was getting government assistance because I just wasn't making enough money. It was very difficult. It was at the peak of the housing bubble. People were losing money left and right. I'm a brand new entrepreneur. I don't know what's going on. I just know that like I gotta hustle because I got mouths to feed. Now, my experience with my wife being that we've been together for so long, we knew each other so well, we had a cohesive vision for what we wanted in our family, and a couple other things. She grew up in a broken home and she was poor. Like her parents split and she grew up, I can't say poverty because I don't think anybody in America lives in poverty, but like her mom, like she couldn't afford McDonald's growing up. I had 2 parents and my parents they were middle class, blue collar, working hard. We could eat McDonald's, right? Like back then McDonald's we saw as a treat. For my kids, that I never fed them McDonald's, but for us, it was a treat back then. And she grew up in such a way that her parents couldn't even afford to buy her like dollar menu chicken nuggets or anything like that. Like she was poor. And I think that's significant. I think that's important because there's a lot of things that's associated with that. Like she was poor financially, but also poor, and we were all poor in terms of seeing what other people are doing, seeing what other people are doing. We didn't have Instagram showing us alternative lifestyles that we could salivate and chase after. We had our example was my parents and whatever they showed on TV, but we were never much into TV. So dating for you guys is a lot harder. That's why I'm giving you my experience, and then I'll just reflect on what I think is appropriate for you. But dating was a lot harder because my wife wasn't on Instagram looking at like what other people had. Oh, how come this girl's husband is making all this money and he's only 22 years old? Like you have to deal with that. Like there are 22-year-old millionaires that are flexing on on Instagram. And so if your wife is wealthy in this propaganda, seeing all this shit, and then you are also, you have higher expectations for yourself than I did at 22. 100%. You guys have higher expectations. You have more opportunities because there was no internet when I was 22, or maybe it was just like a baby, internet baby, and we definitely didn't have social media. So my wife didn't have as many options. I didn't have as many options. And we weren't upset because we didn't have options because we didn't know, because we didn't have Instagram showing us what like other people are doing. That's something that you guys have to battle that I didn't. My wife was poor and ignorant. So was I. We were poor and we were ignorant. And in a way, like whatever I could provide was good enough. She never hankered over new cars. She never asked to go on vacations. We spent most of our money because, I was the leader. I'm the leader in my family and I was making the money. And I decided that our investment was going to be into health. So my wife having a beat up old car, man, like I don't even tell you about the type of cars that we drove our children around in. Beat up old car, no vacations, nothing fancy, living on food stamps. Where am I going with this? And we're happy as a pig in shit. We're happy as a pig in shit. And because of all that, I'm going to use the word lack. We didn't know we were lacking. That's a part of the equation here. We didn't know that we were lacking. She was grateful for whatever I could do. As a good husband, oh, I remember what I was talking about. I spent all my money. Yeah, we didn't have much money, but I spent all my money on health, all my money on food. Here we are. Here's my wife driving a beat up jalopy with 3 kids in the back, and she's eating organic food. I mean, that was the value. That was the value I wanted to give to my family. It wasn't all the things that women may be expecting today. And I'm not so sure they actually are. That may be a story. But I wasn't buying her designer bags and expensive shoes. I was building and she was birthing. And I think that's important also. And if you're a Gen Zer and the women that you're seeking, they're out there. I say that they're LARPers. You know, you guys are LARPing as trad LARPing, but it's good. I'll get to my children in a moment, but like they put on the costume and they want this traditional life. It's like a cool new trendy thing, right? I created it. Wasn't very trendy at the time. People thought we were crazy, and we were poor. We would buy clothes from Goodwill. That's where I bought my clothes. So I built with my wife. I'm building a business, and you know, I'm a fool in a lot of ways, right? But I know how to work. So I worked. I even worked, you know, sometimes people are like asking me, Elliot, why now are you struggling? And it's like, because I had the same attitude that I had back then, which was, I don't need anything. I just need to work. And I valued myself based on hard work. And she saw me working. Even if I wasn't even bringing in, she saw and she appreciated that I was working. A lot of this, guys, has to do with the type of woman that you choose to be with. I'm blessed to have the type of woman that my wife is. And I didn't always know I was blessed. There were times where I thought I could do better. There were times where I was making YouTube videos and I refused to make videos about relationships for a while. 2020, like 2012. It wasn't until about 20, man, maybe until 2016 where I actually started talking about relationships because I thought I had nothing to no value for you guys in terms of relationship. Because I married my high school girlfriend and nobody could relate to that. And I had a good marriage and nobody could relate to that. I come from a home that has a good marriage and nobody could relate to that. So I almost felt like guilty and ashamed in a way to even like talk about my relationship to you guys because all I saw was complaints. And I can't argue with your complaints because I've never been in your shoes. I read a lot of books, I watch a lot of videos, I'm interested in intersexual dynamics, but I didn't know what you guys are going through. Just so happens now, you know, decades later, y'all want what I got. That's pretty cool. I'm happy about that. I always happen to be ahead of the curve, not because I'm brilliant, but just I think it's an ADHD thing. Like we just do what we want to do, and regardless of what you say, dude, it don't matter. We just do what the fuck we want to do. As an ADHD dear. So I didn't make this happen. This is purely by grace. So I'll tell a little bit more about my story, and then I'll dive. I absolutely will dive into your situation. By the way, do you guys enjoy the fact that I have no hang up just making these videos as long as fuck? They're like an hour long. I used to really try to make my videos concise. I'm just yapping now. I'm just talking to y'all. So let me finish talking to you guys about my experience. Like I said, like we built together. It was beautiful. I think a part of what made it beautiful and work well is that my wife was busy in the home. If you're going to build with a woman, she can't be bored. You can't create such a pampered lifestyle for her that like everything's taken care of for her. She doesn't have to do anything. She's going to be bored, and that's when women cheat. Especially if she has to work outside of the home. She's working outside the home and she's bored. She's probably going to, you know, they call him like your work husband. She's probably going to have a work husband. My wife was making babies. She was busy serving me and our family. I'm serving the family from outside, but she was busy serving the family from within, making babies, feeding babies, caring for babies, and taking care of her husband. Because I'm out working all day long, I come home and she would have food prepared for me. She was a true homemaker. If you're gonna build with a woman, she needs to. Both of y'all should know your roles and play your part, and it got to be very clear. If you're going to build with this woman, it can't be arbitrary. It can't be, oh, we'll see what happens. It can't be lukewarm, like, okay, well, sure, yeah, you can do that, and I'll do this, and maybe we'll change. Dude, the rules have to be very clear. And the minute when we decided that she was going to stay home, and I, on my personal trainer salary, was going to do the work, there was no looking back for her or for me. It was like, no, this is what we're doing. We were all in, and we were very clear on the roles. My job's to make the money. Your job's to spend it. Right? What is she spending it on? She's spending it on the children. And I'm talking about when we started having children, I was probably about your age, 23 years old. And I'm talking about up until about maybe 10 years, for 10 years. Because I didn't really start making real money until I was about 33. So from 23 to 33, I'm working out of my warehouse gym. I'm training athletes, not making very much. I'm selling a few ebooks on YouTube. Like, I was ahead of my time on that also. I had some online stuff going on way back then. And she was making babies. So my point is that, like, I'll wrap that up. You got to know your roles and play your parts. And then in 2000, around 2013, 14, I'm probably about 33 years old. That's when the money came. That's when the money came. It took me 10 years to have the money. And I built with my girl those 10 years. Once again, she never complained because she didn't expect much. And I think that's super important, because if now it's harder for you guys because you have higher expectations and they have higher expectations for you. But if you're truly becoming traditional and you're truly returning to traditional values, and we're really actually getting grounded in the truth of what life requires. You guys are watching people who are outliers. Most of who you see that's a 22-year-old millionaire on YouTube, even if you know 50 of them, it looks like everybody is 22 years old and they're making a fuck ton of money, but they're not. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you guys realize that, but you're not. You're making a few $100 a month. That's okay. That's where I was. But I had aspirations for more, as you do too. And I had my girl in my side car. I didn't have a side girl. My girl in the side car. And then 10 years later, I'm 33 years old now. We've already got 4 kids. We're living in a rented house because I foreclosed on the house that I bought at the peak of the market, and it was ridiculous. I was paying off debts. We had like $100,000 in debts. I paid off all her student loans, and we're living hand to mouth. I know what it's like to work hard. I know what it's like to live hard. I know what it's like to scrape by. In fact, that's how I thrive. So I find myself recreating those situations. Well, I'm old now and I'm tired. I don't want to do that shit anymore. So money started coming 10 years later. I built for 10 years with this woman. It was beautiful. It was great. No complaints from either one of us. When the money started coming, that's when I got nervous. Right now, you're nervous because the money's not coming. But when the money started coming, that's when I got nervous. And it was a byproduct 100% not of her, but of my own insecurities. When I started making money, I'm like, okay, like, what do you do when you make money? What do you want to do for the people that you love? You start buying them things. You start doing things with them. And I did just that. And it dawned on me one day. Actually, we were at a resort, a cheap resort on St. Pete Beach, and it was bad. It was like, it smelled bad. The room was terrible. The people there were like, you're Florida, man. Florida, man. Like, if you go to Disney World, you see those people. Those are the degenerates at Disney World that actually have money. But take those same people and you put them in a trailer park trash resort on St. Pete Beach. It's like you're getting them, plus it's like it's weirder, right? Florida was a culture shock for us back then. So I'm making money for the first time, and I'm nervous because I'm like, okay, now I'm creating a lifestyle that she might get used to. I think it might even be worse to bring a woman into your life that doesn't know you when you were building, because now she's marrying or she's dating your money. She not only sees you, the man, and what you do, but she sees the lifestyle that you can create. My wife knew the McDonald's food stamp lifestyle and didn't have much of it. And even with all that, low expectations, my desire to give gifts, when I started giving a lot of gifts, I was like, ooh, I'm charged with keeping this up. If you I don't know what's going to happen for you guys. But if you choose to bring a woman into your life after you've built, there's a guy, oh, what's his name? Entrepreneurs with Cars. I like him. He's cool. I watch some of his videos. He's like, there are these women who wait at the finish line and go home with the winner. He says that's what women do. They wait at the finish line and go home with the winner. Does she like you or does she like the winning? Right? Like men are valued by status. Does she like your status or does she like you? But in my situation, she built with me. So when I was at my lowest, she was fine. Then when I was at my highest, I wasn't fine. I got nervous. I was like, can I keep this up? And even though I had been with her for decades at that point, we've got 4 children. And then like I just started getting nervous. Now I have something she can take. And not that it was like a forefront fear, but it was sort of underneath. Now, if we do divorce, if she's got it, she gets a prize. She gets a prize at the end that she didn't deserve at all. Like if my wife and I divorce now after building together, right? I love my life, I love my family, and she's been a very important part of it. And if we divorce now and she takes me to the bank, in a way, at least in my heart, she deserves. Like if I have to give her half, right? I would say she deserves half-ish because she's got my kids, right? But anyway, I don't want to get into that. She deserves, I would say that in my opinion, she deserves a portion of my earnings because she was there when we were eating from food stamps. I could say, oh, she can go back to the food stamps. She knows what that's like. But she built with me. We built together. We did this together. I built the business, but she supported me. I'm not washing my own clothes. I'm not cooking my own food. I'm not cleaning my own house. I'm not raising my own kids. I want a family. I get it. A lot of you guys want a family. You can't do a family without a good woman. When you guys are looking at these women that you want to bring into your life, even now when you're young, right? Like I said, I got married at 23. You got to be looking at her from the lens of, is she going to be a good wife and mother? And that's tough because a lot of y'all moms ain't no good. Like you have no model for that. Maybe I'll do some workshops, me and my wife, for what a traditional family might look like. I'll get my parents to come and do it too, because we had them as an example. My wife is funny because like a lot of you guys, like I don't know if this is the case, I'm just being facetious, but the women that you guys are dating, they're like looking up to Kim Kardashian, right? They're looking up to pop stars. They're looking up to celebrities, right? My wife, she was looking up to my mom. My mom was her model for what she wanted to be. So I knew that she was, even though she came from a broken home, she was being trained to be a good wife. Because my mom's a good wife. And my mom's a good mom. So that was her training. In retrospect, or bringing it up today and trying to make this useful for you guys, look for, this is just advice. Look for a woman that you know that will make not just a good girlfriend, not just a good lay, not just a good time, not just a pretty face, but is going to be a good wife. And you got to get clear on what that looks like once again. And I think we can get very deliberate, right? Like when you're looking for a business partner or you're trying to vet clients, right? Even if you're looking to buy a new car, what do? You do some research on what you want. Well, most of us get into relationships because of what our little head wants. Ooh, I want that. And then you have visions of grandeur, thinking you're going to turn a hoe into a housewife. Be careful, fellas. Be careful, because these girls are very tricky. So what would I do if I was in your shoes and it was this day? Would I build and then bring a woman on, or would I mean, you're 22. Here's the thing. You're at the peak of your thirst. You'll never be more thirsty for girls than you are in your late teens and 20s. So I totally get it. Like for me, when I look at when it comes to women, I'm not thirsty like you guys are. My testosterone was a lot lower. I've had thousands of sex with one woman, my wife, but it's not the same way like it was when you're a young man. I say that for a number of different reasons, but one of which is like you can't choose a woman because of sex appeal. Sex appeal is totally subjective too, because that's why people have fetishes. Sex appeal is totally subjective. You make your wife hot. You make your wife attractive. I'm not saying date an ugly woman or bring an ugly woman to your life, but a homely woman is a woman that stays at home. She not flexing and flaunting, right? Like if you're dating these girls that put up like, they're Instagram models, right? And they're putting up pictures. If you see a ton of pictures on her Instagram of herself and her bathing suit and all these kind of things, she's a billboard bitch. She's for sale. That's advertising. She's advertising for sale. Granted, we didn't have that when I was young, but bringing it up to date, these are some of the things I would look for. You guys got to be far more discerning about the women that you bring into your life, and you have more evidence for her character than ever before. Go on her social media, see who she follows, see what she posts, and determine whether or not you want to make her your wife. If she's a woman worth building with, that's really what it is. Wife or no wife, is this woman worth building with? Will she contribute to my life? Will she be, I hate the word partner when it comes to heterosexual relationships, because partner is a homosexual word. That's what homosexual, when somebody says they have a partner, in my mind is like, oh, this person's gay. But when I say partner, I mean like peanut butter and jelly. All right. You both add a different flavor to the situation, right? Like two guys, like if you're partners, that means you're both jelly. But a woman, peanut butter and you're jelly, right? Or vice versa. You both contribute your value to the relationship, make a nice, good peanut butter and jelly sandwich. That's what I mean by partnership. Partnership in the way that like the flavors enhance one another. It's not a partnership in we're equal. Peanut butter and jelly. Peanut butter is not equal to jelly. They're different. They're equal value, right? They're it's both food, but they're different. And I think that needs to be there needs to be a clear distinction when you use the word partner when you're dealing with your woman. She's not your partner, she's your wife. You're not her partner, you're her husband. Whatever association you have with those words, they are rightly ordered. When someone says wife, there's an association with that. That's why you're not looking for a partner. If you're looking for a partner, you're homosexual. You're not looking for a partner. You're looking for a wife. Partner means something totally different. Wife has that. Think about again, like a lot of you guys grew up in broken homes, and you never seen a good wife because your mom probably wasn't a good wife to your dad, right? Or vice versa. You didn't see this relationship modeled. But it's possible. You could turn it around. My wife comes from a long line of broken families, broken homes. And she turned it around. Why? Because her peanut butter, guys are the peanut butter. Her peanut butter knew what that looked like because he came from a intact family. One of y'all or both of y'all have to know what an intact, healthy marriage looks like. Otherwise, you're going to bring in all of your wounds and false expectations and problems that you saw mirrored in your family, your parents. Satan knew, the enemy knew that all you needed to do is all you really just need to destroy, I think, according to Yuri Bezmenov, he said 3 generations, so 100 years. You only need 3 generations to destroy traditional wisdom. We're, we're a little bit past that, but I think that's why the pendulum's swinging back. and you guys want tradition once again. You want families, but you don't know what it looks like because you got two generations of degenerate families. Not all of you, but a lot more than probably ever in history. Innocence has been lost. And this is not the time or the place, but I would love to go down rabbit holes about how we got here and the whole sexual revolution and birth control and abortion and all that shit, and how it destroys the value of the father in the home. It removes his authority, but plants him with a bunch of responsibility. So I would love to see everybody have what I have. And I don't say that out of bragging. I say it out of compassion because I see so much that I would not want. Decisions that are made about what woman you bring into your life. So my opinion, based on my experience, is build together. Build together. There's so much leverage there when you build together, but it has to be the right person. When you build together, remember, she knows you when you were struggling. She ate ramen noodles with you, right? She was there at the beginning. And if you're not feeding her, and Instagram is not feeding her with visions of grandeur and all kinds of grandiosity, infantile grandiosity about what it will be like when my husband or my man, his business finally takes off, we're going to be on yachts in the Mediterranean. Those things may happen. That's when it starts getting hard. But as long as she's not looking over your shoulder, wondering when it's coming, and showing you pictures of other people who have it, she is in the trenches with you. Choose, I don't know how to say this. Choose a poor girl. Choose a girl. It's not that you don't want anyone her to have high expectations in you, because a woman looks at a man for his potential. A woman is received by a man for who she is. Like, bang, there it is. He looks at her and he's like, boy, that's what I want. But women look at men in terms of potential. Does he have what it takes to do the work that's required for me to have babies? That's really what it is. It's developmental biology, right? It's just the way women are, because they're vulnerable. Regardless of what the world says, women are vulnerable, women are weaker, and they need a man that they can trust, and that's a protector and that's a provider. Like, regardless of feminism and regardless of, the go girl, boss bitch world that we live in their biology, in their nature, they want the safety to come from above, the man. Today it comes from the government. They don't need y'all. Right? It comes from the government. Government's their daddy. Government's their daddy. Remind them too. These women who want divorce, or these women, the government becomes their daddy. And look, like I said, I was on food stamps for a little while. The government was my daddy. So I understand. It's kind of a messed up world that we live in. Build together. Build together, because you know the term trophy wife? Trophy wife? Trophy wife means, like, it's just like I said before, you won the race, and so you got the girl. But what value is there in a trophy? Think about, like, if you were an athlete, right? You're training for the CrossFit Games. What is the value in the trophy, or is the value in the journey and the competition and the triumph and overcoming? If your girl is going through that with you, if she's going through the journey and the ups and downs and the challenges and the triumph, she's your ride or die, right? Ride or die, bitch. She's your ride or die. I need a ride or die, bitch. Remember that? The Locks. I'm dating myself. It was a song. You want to ride or die. You want your ride or die. She will ride with you until you die, or you rise. But when you rise, she's rising too, because a part of it couldn't happen without her. Because she's I joke. I had a meeting the other day, a Zoom meeting with the guys that I'm going to be taking my son Benjamin on a big camping trip that we're doing soon. And it was a meeting where they required, like, paperwork needed to be done and all kinds of stuff like that. And I'm on the call, and these guys, maybe they have different relationships than me. And they're like, oh, what paperwork's been done? What's this? And I said to them, they all chuckled. I was like, oh, let me check with my secretary. Let me check with my assistant. My wife is my assistant. Right? She gets the things done that I would otherwise have to pay, like, $15 an hour, or to a Filipino. She helps. She helps. She lightens the burden for me. She knows the things that I don't want to do or that I can't do or I don't have time to do. And she takes care of it for me. You want a woman that's like that. I'm not of the opinion that these guys who like want to like be a power couple, like, poor Mosey and his wife. And, I think they may be having children soon or whatever the case may be. But it's like two dudes. It's like two dudes. She's fighting and battling in the world, trying to be a influencer and teaching people. And I don't know, but that I don't want that kind of partnership. I'm not interested in that because there's going to be conflict. That's why Hormozy didn't have kids for such a long time, probably because his wife wanted to be a boss bitch. He likes that. He liked that, and that's cool. I'm saying, like, look, there's different strokes for different folks. That's not what I want. I want a wife to come home to and to remind me of home. I come home and I smell, what's cooking, baby? Oh, we got some fresh baked cookies. Right? I had a friend over yesterday. We did some workouts together. He drove 2 hours. And at the end of the workout, we jumped in the pool and we sat at the table and my wife had a beautiful spread of food prepared for us and fresh baked cookies. I knew that this girl, my wife, was this way, but I wasn't very strategic. When we were in high school, and she would bring me donuts. She always bought me gifts. She always wanted to feed me. She'd bring me donuts on every day on her way home or to my house. She'd go to the store. She Dunkin' Donuts. She'd buy me donuts. She wanted to please me. She wanted to please me. You need a woman that wants to please you and support you. And when I say that word support, it's not in the AA support kind of way. I'm going to cry on her shoulders. She needs to be like your secretary at home. When she had the kids, she was secretarying by putting her tit in the kids' mouths and wiping their butts, right? All the nasty things that I can't even do. But you got to keep her busy too. That's the whole thing. Like I said, trophy wives, they're there for the lifestyle. And as soon as the lifestyle shifts or she gets bored because she's not making babies because she's too pretty to get a big belly, you're going to have a problem. You're going to have a problem, fellas. Marry a woman that reminds you of a mom because that's going to be her top job at some point. I don't see the point in marrying if you're not making children, by the way. That's partner. That's homosexual. These sterile couples, I'm not knocking anybody. I'm just giving my opinion because I know there are people that do this. But these sterile couples, we've been together for 30 years. Oh, well, wow, where are the children? What do you got going on? Oh, we don't want to. Okay, then what are you doing? She's just your best friend with a vagina, friend with benefits, right? I guess you could do that. But for me, family, family. Are we making a family? And can she contribute to me growing a family together? I want to grow together with my woman. I don't want her to be an accessory that I earn at the end of the race. She has no context. She has no buy-in. But you got to choose the right girl. And I'm gonna start wrapping up on that. You got to choose the right woman. You guys, we got to stop looking at these women for the way they look. Women are like milk. They say that women age like milk. If you're 22, she's at her peak. But by 27, she's got 5 years left. By 27, they're they're beginning to expire. Their sexual marketplace value begins to expire. Even their birthing capacity. A woman at age 35 is considered a geriatric pregnancy. Did you know that? 35 is considered geriatric, meaning like your eggs are old, babe. Don't wait that long. She's got an expiration date. So choose wisely while you're young, when she's fresh. And if you're marrying young, make babies young. Because what else is she doing? If she has babies, she's going to be busy and she won't cause you as many problems. So that's it. That's all. That's my opinion, y'all. I'll stick around. If you guys have questions related specifically to this, I know the young man that asked that he's here. Specifically to this situation, I'll stick around and I'll answer a couple questions. So Shoot, fellas, I can see you, and I can only see you when you pop up. Then it goes somewhere, and I don't know where the hell it is. I'm keeping my eye here. If there's no questions, that's cool. Thanks, Coach KL. Good advice. What do I do if I happen to make it financially before getting a good woman? How do I avoid a bad woman? That's a great question. So you're not even looking at women, or women just aren't an option right now, and you're building, and you get there. I don't know, but the first thing that comes to my mind is do not disclose too much about what you got going on. Have you ever seen? This might not be the right metaphor, but my dad used to tell this story about the guy who is dressed like a bum, and he walks into the bar, and he sits down, he's having drinks, and like people are interacting. He's dressed bummy, he looks like a homeless guy, and people are choosing to engage with him in a certain way, uh, like he's a bum. And in this, he's able to get a greater read on the value of the people that are coming into him, because they don't know that he's an undercover millionaire. And so you get to see the way a person, they say, like, the way a person is by how they treat the help, right? Like if you go to a restaurant, I've had people, demonstrate this, and it's like, whoa. If you go to a restaurant and they treat the server poorly, this is a person who has a superiority complex, and they're entitled. They believe that they're entitled. They can run roughshod over people. If you are doing well, you've done well. She doesn't need to know. Don't hear straight out of Jesse Lee Peterson. Amazing. He gives the advice. I always red pilled a lot from Jesse Lee Peterson. He's pretty cool. One of his pieces of advice was don't spend money on women. Don't go flexing your resources to these women, because have you seen, like, they do these videos on YouTube where like a guy will be trying to talk to his girl, like, hey babe, what's going on, what's your number, hey, I think you're cute, come here, and she's walking away, and he's like, okay, well, never mind, I'm just going to get in my car, and he goes over to her fancy car, and all of a sudden the girl's like, what, wait a second, what'd you say your name was? Hide it. Hide it. Do not flex your money. She's looking for a provider, and you just need to show that you have enough. By the way, women love mystery. The more mysterious you are as a man, the more attracted she is to you. So if you just kind of every once in a while do something nice for her out of your own heart by spending a little bit of money, or even spending on yourself, and she gets to see nothing extravagant, nothing grandiose, but just like, okay, well, this man can actually provide. This man, he seems to be doing well enough. But keep your income a secret for as long as you can, until you've actually seen that this woman may be a worthy candidate for lifelong marriage, right? Because if she's treating you poorly because she had boyfriends that took her on vacations, then she's not there for you. She's there for the vacations. There's another one from Jesse Lee Peterson. It's like, don't take these women on vacation. Don't buy her stuff. Don't take her on vacation. This is not just Jesse Lee Peterson. Jesse Lee is super red pilled, but he's an old man. This is stuff that, like, Iceberg Slim talks about in his book Pimp, right? How to be a pimp. You don't you don't you don't treat these women like they're your wives. There's some just funny rap songs I'm thinking about, right? Like you get a stiff dick and bubble gum, or I take my girl. I can't think of the rap songs, but like I 50 Cent would talk about, like, all you get is Big Macs, right? All you get is Big Macs and fries. Like, he's not spending money on you. And it's not because you're a bad guy. It's because, like, I'm checking you out. If you're here for the money, you're here for the cars, and you're here for the vacations, then dude, your relationship is going to be as superficial as those things. My opinion is to keep it quiet. We got 1 minute left before this becomes an hour. So let me Justin says that he actually dealt with that. Let me answer one more question. Drop your questions here, fellas. I appreciate you guys showing up. I had a lot of fun doing this. Why manifesting? Oh, I missed that one. Can I get it back? Why are you manifesting when Jesus' name is mentioned? Oh, this guy's asking me. Manifest is a word. Jesus is actually the manifestation, the manifestation. That's God as man. Right? You're asking me about New Age shit, and I'm just talking about the Bible. The Bible says you get what you think about. What's in the heart of a man. Well, that's not a part of our conversation, so I'm gonna stop right there. Doesn't look like you guys have too many great questions here coming up. Let's see. I'll look for one more. No, I'm only answering questions related to what we talking about, fellas. Hey, what's up, Mark? I remember you, buddy. All right, that's it. That's all. Don't want to make this much longer, y'all. Talk to you next time. Maybe tomorrow. Done.